Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to the show. Got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 69th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. Got some big sport events happening this week, but before we get into some NBA, we're going to touch on UFC 212. That's going to be on and popping this Saturday. First fight that we're about to talk about is my man Vitor Belfort. He's going to be facing Nate Marquardt. Just Darnell, what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel this is a must-win for my man Vitor? Technically, he lost 3, but the last one against Kevin Gastelum, that got ruled to a no contest with the drug. With him testing positive for marijuana, I believe. But you still feel this is a must-win for my man?
I mean, no. I don't think the UFC has any thoughts of signing him to like a further deal, and he's not in any serious title contention. So I wouldn't call it a must-win. Of course, you want to win if you're stepping into the cage, but being somebody that's lost 3 out of his last 4 fights, it would have been 3 out of his last 5 if the Gastelum fight stuck. So it's not like he's, on the title hunt or anything. I think they're just giving him some fights to finish out his career. If he does lose to Nate Marquardt, that probably shows he's probably needs to retire instead of possibly looking for a Bellator contract or something like that after he's up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't call it a must-win for either fighter.
Okay. So just thoughts on this fight, man. Who do you think is going to win this?
Well, I mean, seeing as how Vitor has looked in his last few fights, I'm inclined to pick Nate Marquardt because his decline hasn't been as steep.
Yeah.
I've joked about it beforehand, but it seems to even be lessening now. Like I said with Vitor, if you can survive maybe the first minute or two, you have a good chance at winning. Yeah. It's not even seeming like he has that much burst in him anymore. He still comes out hot, but I mean, once you get through that first flurry of his, he seems to be going downhill even faster. I don't know how much that has to do with the lack of TRT these days. He's not looking as cut and big as he used to. So I mean, I can only guess that does have something to do with it, and probably his conditioning is catching up to all the tread that's burned off of those tires as well.
Yeah, it's 40 years old, man. So
yeah. But yeah, so I think I lean with the fighter that's only 2 years younger than him, but Marquardt's been a little bit more consistent. He does at least have a couple wins out of his last 5 fights, and they were TKO wins. But I wouldn't be shocked either way on this. But I guess if I have to pick, I'm gonna pick Marquardt right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my boy Vitor, man. He's gonna be in his hometown, so I think just the crowd is gonna be feeding him energy. He's gonna be hyped. He's gonna be wanting to improve his record in front of his own people. So, like I said, this can be anybody's fight. These two are but definitely on the same playing field as of right now. But I'm going to go with the hometown hero on this one, man. Just think he's going to want to put a win up for his people. So, got him. Would like to see him. He's known for those quick 1-2 minute flurries that he starts the fights off with. So would like to see him hopefully get a knockout in that time. But after that, this could be fatal for him because just with him going longer in those into the fight. So, but hopefully, man, he could just get this win. And like I said, he's on the downside of his career, but he could pull off a win for his hometown. All right, now, this one, I think this is the next fight we're about to talk about, man. I think this is going to be a really good fight between these two. But it's Claudia Gadelha and Karolina Kovacevic. These two put up a pretty good fight against JJ when they fought her. Both of them could have had an opportunity to win against JJ, and these two are going to be colliding in the ring against an octagon against each other. So, going to be expecting big things from these two ladies right here. What do you think about this fight?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely possibly a title eliminator. Probably more so if Carolina wins, just because Claudia has 2 losses on her resume against JJ already.
Yeah.
Guess it'd be interesting to see a third fight, just to see if she learned from the last one, from having a dominant first round, winning the first part of the second round, and then just snowballing after that.
Once it got to the championship rounds,
yeah, where she just gassed out. So you want to see if she's learned from that, if she were to get another shot at the champ. And Kovacevic, this was kind of it was her first shot at a big fight like that. She went the distance, lost in the decision. Probably feels like she left some opportunities on the table. So I think both of these ladies feel the pressure to perform to see if they can get that last shot to try to get some UFC gold. So I think we'll see some excitement in this one, and both of them will be on their A game, since big things could be on the horizon due to this. That's if they're not on the back burner behind maybe like a Rose Namajunas or something like that.
Yeah. Now, who do you have in this one
now? Being that this is a 3-round fight, right? I know it's the co-main, but it's still a 3-round fight. So being in a situation like that, I think I still lean more Gadelia, just because she's just so explosive and strong. I guess I kind of lean that way. But Carolina is nothing to shy away from. She has a lot of strengths of her own, but I think I'm leaning Claudia.
Yeah, me too, man. Just think with 3 rounds, this is not a 5-round fight between these two, so she can go in there and do some wrestling, take her down, and she has less likely chance to get tired, just due to the rounds not being a championship round fight, like it was between her and JJ. So, she can go in there, wear Carolina down, and get to business. But, like you said, Carolina's no joke. So either thing can happen between these two ladies, but just think with Claudia's wrestling ability, she can start to wear her down, get her tired, and pull off a win. Now, you think this will go the whole rounds? You think a knockout or submission? How do you feel about this?
No, they're both smart fighters. I think this goes the distance. This will probably be a decision type match.
All right. And last but not least for the fight, the main event, got my man Jose Aldo versus Max Holloway. I've been waiting for this one, so how do you feel about this fight, man?
I mean, this is going to be a fun one to watch. Holloway is always game. He's not scared to go toe-to-toe with anybody.
Yeah.
And he's got some hands. He's very athletic. He can sneak in a submission if he gets you down. But he's known for laying that quick knockout on people. Anthony Pettis most recently learned that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Jose Aldo, one of the original phenoms for the UFC, as far as, sustained greatness and holding on to a championship. He showed that he still has a lot in the tank from his win against Frankie Edgar to, I guess, get the belt back after it was pulled off McGregor. So definitely a lot to look for here. Two people that are most known for their stand-up, and I think that's probably going to be how this fight goes for the most part. I don't see too many takedown attempts. Like, maybe you might get something from Holloway if he's not getting his way on the feet.
Yeah.
he's a little more inclined to go to the ground. But
Yeah.
I think you see a stand-up battle here and some slick stand-up at that.
Yeah. Don't forget too, man, my man Aldo, he does have some good takedown defense. So it'll be interesting to see between those two if Holloway decides to try to get it to the ground. If Aldo can keep his defense up to the takedowns and things like that. But like I said, man, one of the key reasons why I think for Aldo, is one of the key things like to see for him that just his mental, how he's going to be mentally in this fight. Because last time someone was talking trash to him, didn't end well for him. He got knocked out quick and lost that title. So, I know Max Holloway's been calling him, where's Waldo, Jose Waldo and whatnot. But just like to see him just be mentally composed in this fight. Like I said, I do agree with you. It's going to be a stand-up fight. I like to see just Aldo just take his time. He has 5 rounds. Like I always tell you, man, the guy has, in my opinion, has the greatest legs in the history of MMA. Just take his time to see opening, start to chop at his legs, wear him down a little bit, and then he can start worrying about a knockout later. But with just kicking ability, what he can do, I like to see him just wear Holloway down and end up getting this win. But who do you got?
Sorry, Trey. I'm leaning towards the youngster. I think I'm going to go with Holloway here, just because he's a taller fighter, 5'11".
Yeah, 4 inches taller. Yep.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that most people looked at when Aldo matched up with McGregor.
Yeah.
Especially since he came in overly aggressive and took that first long shot. Holloway is a lankier fighter for that division. I mean, not like 5'11's giant or anything, but for the featherweight division that he is.
Yeah.
So with him being very accomplished with his stand-up himself, I think he might be able to stay on the outside and possibly stay out of range of some of those kicks, but still be able to get his own off.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell mine real quick. I'm going to go with my man Aldo. Just this guy's been dominating that division for so long, man. I know he lost to McGregor not that long ago, but just how he's been running through other people in that division. Got to just stick with him, man. And plus, like I said, he's going to be in his hometown. He wants to put up a good fight for his people and win in front of his people. So got that, man. But yeah, I just think he's going to be in there mentally. He knows what he needs to do. Start to wear Max down. I know he's going to have to be aware of his height and everything like that, but this guy's just ran through so many people. It's going to be hard for me to go up against him, man. But Holloway, he's one of those guys, man. He could be one of the toughest challengers Jose has met since fighting. So this guy's no joke. But I'm going to go with my guy Aldo on this one. Now,
we know you're going with your boy.
Yeah.
So
you got Holloway. Like, how do you see? You think knockout or submission?
No, I think it's another one I think this one goes the distance as well. They both have the capability to put somebody out.
Yeah.
But they both are smart and they know when they're fighting somebody else that is dangerous like that to stay out of range and protect themselves. So I think this is one we get a good fight. We get basically scientific stand up. Both these guys are calculating.
Yeah.
But I think it goes the distance just because both are smarter fighters. They stay out of each other's way and just try to see who can outpoint the other, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I think both of these fighters got great talent. They can end a fight quick, but I just think just to the level of respect that these guys are going to have for each other in the ring. I don't think they're going to be too aggressive. I think they're going to play a little conservative, find the right openers and whatever when to attack. I don't think both of these guys are going to try to do anything too risky in there that can end up having them get caught or anything like that can have them possibly chance of either retaining the belt or winning it. So just think this is just going to be like a chess match. These guys are just going to go in there and just respect each other. So All right, man. You have anything left to add for UFC 212?
No, just, I mean, based on that top three, I think this alone, the show is probably going to be a pretty solid card.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. This is going to be a pretty good main event for people to check out. So definitely agree with that. So, well, let me just ask you, Ty, get away from UFC 212. But what was your just whole thought on that whole Gus Teixeira fight, man?
Yeah, we were talking before, I was kind of, in some way, I guess, surprised that, you get the number one versus number two light heavyweight fighters and that be a free fight. I mean, I was a little surprised by that, but, we kind of talked that through and, just kind of realized, okay, I understand why that's not a pay-per-view fight, but it had the full potential to be pay-per-view fight. I think, Gustafsson did everything he needed to do. He avoided the takedowns from Teixeira and as well as, the heavy hands he holds.
Yeah.
You could always tell he was trying to, land his jab, land his punch, and then get out. He didn't want to get close. He didn't want to open himself up after a punch for any opportunity. So he'd hit and run. And at first, it was kind of like, all right, quit being a little girl. But, it was the game plan and he stuck to it and landed 3 uppercuts in a row. And
gave him that 3-piece in the
sent Teixeira down.
Yeah.
Dude, it was, but in reality, like, I thought that was a great fight. Teixeira got his in the fight and, he fought hard. Both guys landed some really nice shots at each other and, not surprised it ended the way it did with, Gustafsson being fighting at home and, having the crowd behind him. But I thought that was a really good fight. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah, I still just can't believe Teixeira allowed himself to get uppercutted 3 times in a row with the same arm.
Hand,
They were clean. They were clean punches.
Yeah. So that was a good fight between the two, man. Like, I know, like, I've always, my man Anthony Johnson retired. I always wanted to see him and Jones get it on, but just listen to the trash talk that Gus had for Jones, talking about how he thinks he's a bad guy. He doesn't like him. That fight between Gus and Jones was an instant classic, man. So if these two were to square off again, which I'm pretty sure will happen, I would love to see them, Gus and Jones, get it on again. And plus, with the Pim potentially fighting DC, either way, man, it's going to be a good fight either way with whoever he ends up facing. But that was just amazing, man, how he just connected those uppercuts and finished it off.
Yeah.
But,
well, and that card as a whole, I mean, if you were up to watch it, since it was from Sweden, it was midday card, but I mean, there were a lot of like highlight reel type knockouts in there.
Yeah. Even in the prelims, I believe, there were some good fights there too. But yeah, we had the guy with the wobbly legs. I forgot what that was. Then there was the guy with the head kick, and it was pretty action packed for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's the fun of the UFC, and the one thing I'm starting to quickly figure out is that it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's out there trying to get themselves in position for the next big fight. And it could be 2 guys in their first UFC fight ever. You could get a highlight reel fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know what you're going to get each time you step into the ring. It's so unpredictable. And I think that's the thing that makes it so enjoyable. You're watching it with anticipation.
Yeah.
I watch a football game more on the relaxed side, basketball more on the relaxed side. But UFC, I'm always watching for something to happen because you blink, you miss it.
Exactly.
And I think that's the fun of it all. You blink in the NBA, you're missing them dribble it up the court, So, I think that's the one thing I enjoy the most about the UFC, just the unpredictable nature of it all.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else to add for the UFC?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the NBA. Before we touch on the finals, let's talk about CP3 for a little bit. Some rumors came out last week that he was being interested in possibly going to the Spurs. How do you guys just feel about when you first heard that news?
I mean, I'm not overly shocked. I think we all can agree that the Clippers window is probably closed.
Yeah, we've been saying that, man.
Yeah. So CP3 is coming up on free agency here. He's up for one of those supermax deals that have come through with the collective bargaining agreement, where you could basically make $200 million on his next contract. So
yeah, man,
that's a lot to think about.
Details of that? Like, how did that? Like you said, if you make all, what was all NBA or something, or how did that?
Well, work? It was something else. Just that the league kind of bargained in to help teams keep their stars, to, I guess, to try to prevent players from going and teaming up, offer some more money out there. So if you have a player of a certain level where they've made all NBA teams, or you've won some sort of single award for yourself, you're up for what's called a supermax deal, where outside of maybe getting your 5-year 150 or 130, whatever the max is right now for people, you can get at $200 million over the course of your contract, which is crazy to think of. But CP3 is one of those designated type players, as I think is Blake Griffin coming up too. Yeah. So, the Clippers already have to think about that for themselves. I know they're allowed to go over the cap as well to give their stars these deals where, like, luxury tax hit isn't quite as bad for them. But, that's quite a decision. A lot of players, once they get later in their careers, I mean, CP3 isn't like washed yet or anything like that, but I guess he's getting to that point where he's starting to think, I'm probably not getting the title here. Yeah. So do I want to break this bread here, or do I want to go to the Spurs and up my shot at getting the title?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Darnell. But the thing with the Spurs seems to be getting those second half of their career stars. They did it with Pau Gasol. LaMarcus Aldridge was still on the first half, but like I said, Pau Gasol was a little bit older. Now CP3 is a little bit older, so it seems like they kind of target the veterans. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with. You're getting, ton of character guys. And like I said, nothing wrong with that. They went for, David Lee, David West, just high quality, high character guys. I think he'd be a fit. I don't think there's any doubt that CP3 would not be a fit there. I think it would, for lack of a better term, it would kind of be a match made in heaven, because he can run that offense and he has guys to throw the ball to. He can, pass to Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, Pau Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge. He has shooters around him that he can dish his dimes to, and that's where basically he made his money at the beginning of his career in New Orleans. Yeah. So I think he won't feel the pressure to need to put up, 20 points a game, which I feel like he was asked to do with the Clippers for a while. I feel like he was asked to be a scorer, and I don't necessarily know that that's who Chris Paul is. I mean, he'll take his shots, but I think it would be a great situation for him if he chooses to go with it. I think it's his best chance to win a title, unless for some reason, Cleveland or Golden State come calling, but I mean, that's not going to happen. But I think this would be a smart move if he wants that ring. I mean, I think we're at the point where superstars going to the already cemented franchise isn't going to be a shock anymore. It's not going to be something that, will catch us off guard. we can still criticize the players for doing it, but I think we're at the point where we almost need to expect guys to go to the best situation possible, especially if they don't have a ring.
Yeah, this is just going to be interesting for me to watch, because I think if he decides to go to the Spurs, I think he's going to miss out on about 50, 60 million, I want to say. He's made a lot of money in his lifetime, but, you can still do a whole lot with 50, 60 million. But, like I said, if he's dedicated to getting that ring, the Spurs would be the right choice. Just with how Pop rest players and things like that, he can go in there, put up good numbers, get his rest. Like you said, Ty, he's on the second half of his career that could help preserve him a little bit longer, so he can play a little bit more. Just like I said, he can help those guys just get better. The Spurs, they were in the Western Conference, finals, this year. So if they add him, that could be another piece. They could have done a lot more damage with the injuries and whatnot, but they're right there. So if he wants to get up there and possibly get a championship, that would be the right move for him. But I don't know, man. I think it'd be tough for him, honestly, though, to kind of want to leave Doc and Blake and DeAndre. Like I said, I think it's much needed. I don't see those guys winning the championship over there and with the Clippers, but just the camaraderie that he's had with those guys, I think it would be tough for him to want to leave that, though.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think you get to the point where you realize a bag of chips have gone stale and you throw it away. I mean, honestly though, like, we've been saying this for 3 to 5 years now, that if they haven't won one by now, they never will.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it always seemed like we kept giving the Clippers one more year.
Yeah.
The year would roll by, they don't do it. All right, let's give them one more. They kept getting the benefit of the doubt, but I think they've all realized that, it's gone stale. It needs to be done. I wouldn't be surprised somehow Blake Griffin leaves. Wouldn't be surprised if Chris Paul leaves. I mean, I don't think they'll lose both, but I bet they lose at least one of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Clippers have just been one of those teams where they never got to reach their full potential, I guess I gotta say.
Yeah.
Because it always seemed once they got to the playoffs, either Blake got hurt or Paul got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they never got to go into the finals at full strength and do something. I mean, like even this year, you had Blake have a freak injury in the playoffs, so then he was out. Last year, it was his dumb punching the dude that was on the team, so he lost a lot of
forgot about that.
Things with that, and so it's just they seem to have just been. I mean, they're Clippers, so I guess they're always cursed, but it just seemed to be a match that just couldn't work out. They're fun to watch, but when it came down to crunch time, either just somebody wasn't there to come through with it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else to add for CP3?
Yeah, I think
to give up.
Yeah, I was going to say, at this point, I just hope he makes what he feels is the right decision for himself, whether it's the money or the chance of the ring. Like, I don't care what his decision is, but I just hope that he's happy with whichever one he makes.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he's one of those guys who's been high character, high quality, and, very respected in the league and by the fans. So I want to see him keep that up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Next, we're about to talk about Chris Bosh for a little bit. I believe him and the Miami Heat, they've kind of negotiated everything out so that he won't be able to team anymore. But just what were your whole just thoughts on the whole Chris Bosh Miami Heat situation?
I mean, I'm happy that they finally decided to let him go.
Yeah.
If he's been cleared by doctors and he feels that he can play, I don't see why he can't. I don't see why a single franchise should hold him back. It's kind of sad too, because, LeBron went back to Cleveland and then Dwayne Wade moved on to Chicago and Chris Bosh just kind of stuck there and he's not even playing and it's not even necessarily his fault. It's just kind of sad that he was the piece that got left behind. But, I'm happy that they've reached some sort of an agreement. I don't know many details on that, but, I just see that Bosh is getting the opportunity to go somewhere else again.
Yeah, I mean, this was something that just had to happen. He made it clear they weren't going to let him come back after letting him try twice and having to cut his season short. So they don't feel comfortable putting him on the court, which is well within their right. Don't blame him for it. But Bosh still feels he has some basketball left in him. So the only thing that could be done is for them to figure out a way to part ways and let him test the market for himself to see if there is another willing participant.
Now, he's had the whole issues with the whole blood clots and everything. He's got cleared by doctors. Miami Heat didn't want to take that risk and whatnot. How do you guys think he will be in the market? Do you see a lot of teams going after him, trying to get him? Or do you think they're still kind of worried about with his health issues and whatnot and won't take a risk on him?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because I don't know that a lot of teams will want to potentially sign him and then have the issue either act up again or possibly become worse. I don't know how many teams want to just take that chance. That's a big chance to take. The thing I think will be interesting to look for to see will be what kind of a contract that Bosh negotiates for himself. Is he going to realize, hey, teams may be scared to take me, I'll take some sort of a pay cut? Or does he still feel that he's worth, X amount of dollars and he'll kind of talk himself out of some teams? I think that's going to be the interesting thing to look at, because I think what he values himself at right now can totally play into, where he ends up, or if teams are even interested.
Yeah. I'm not sure, if somebody grabs him right off the bat to start the season, I do see him possibly being like a, hired gun that somebody might grab mid to late season. Maybe one of these teams that looks like they might sneak into the playoffs and wants that actual punch, or maybe a contender where, say next season the Spurs lose one of their bigs, and if he's willing to come on board for a cheap price, maybe give him a run.
That would be a good fit for him, yeah. Because like I said, with Pop, with him wrestling and stuff, he can kind of take it easy on him a little bit during the season. So that would be a good place. Yeah,
well, and it's just, I just think teams are scared because, there is that possibility, if he starts bleeding on the court, it could be a wrap for him. It's not something to play with, since he has to take blood thinners to deal with the clots. So, I mean, if somebody takes him, there's going to be lots of medical precaution taken. He's going to have to pass all kinds of physicals and tests. So, I mean, if Bosh is willing to jump through those hoops to play, I'm pretty sure somebody might end up doing it. I mean, if somebody does take him to start the year, it's probably not going to be a great team or a contending team. It might just be somebody that just wants somebody that they can put some star power behind on their team.
Yeah, I'd even argue that no matter who he ends up with, the rest approach will be taken anyway. I think the league is starting to realize, especially if you're a top team, I won't necessarily say a playoff team, but if you're clearly a top 4 team, I think from here out, we're going to see those teams rest players, especially second half of the season. And I'm expecting that to happen. So, for Chris Bosh to go anywhere, I think that rest approach is going to be taken. But yeah, I kind of fall in line with Darnell here. I think we'll see a team, through mid-year get an injury or something and then show interest in Bosh. I wouldn't be surprised if teams aren't exactly showing all their cards right now on him. A lot of teams may hold off, see if anyone signs him. But I guess this is a question, I think, now due to some recent happenings in the NFL. Do we think Bosh could possibly land an ESPN deal?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's been, you know,
he was actually
TNT.
doing,
or
a little bit for
TNT.
TNT, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, do you think we could see him land that for next season?
yeah.
I think he'd be great.
Yeah,
Easy money.
you know,
yeah.
Very insightful and smart. He's actually good on TV. I think that's a good fit for him. He can't
Yeah,
land on
so
TV.
I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he possibly falls into a role like that.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it would be a little tough for him to break into TNT, only because their team's so strong.
Yeah.
You know, unless he's calling a game. If he does like pregame stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him slide into ESPN because they have Michelle Beadle, Jalen Rose. So. Well, Chauncey, and Beadle, Jalen Rose, and Chauncey Billups, but they always have a fourth person. It's just possible who that fourth person is. So why not just, you know, reach out to Chris Bosh, make him a solid, and I think, like Darnell said, I think he'd be great. And I think that's a real possibility at this point in his career.
Yeah. So if he can't get on the court, you know, that'd be a great way for him to still stick to the game. So, it will be some adjustments to do.
And this is just out of pure curiosity. I wonder how he'd be coaching as an assistant coach. I don't know. I just feel like he has a really, really good presence, in the NBA. And I don't know. I wouldn't, granted, I understand coaching is not for everybody, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's smart enough to coach.
Yeah. I can see people being around him. Like, he seems like a very, humble, smart guy. So I think, the players would, you know, they would feel comfortable being around a guy like him. But him, like, drawing up plays and stuff, we'd have to see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Anything left for Bosh?
Good luck with whatever he gets.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we're about to talk about just our all NBA teams. Just who are you guys all NBA team with the 6 man?
Let's start with you, Trey. We never start with you.
All right. My all NBA, I have Russell Westbrook. Then I have James Harden. I have Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And for my 6th man, I have Kevin Durant.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
That's interesting. Go ahead, Darnell.
All right. I mean, I'm pretty close with you. I have Westbrook and Harden as my guards. LeBron and Kawhi forwards. I also have a 5th forward since I don't think any centers really were up to that level.
I do agree with that, man. I do,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I felt I needed to pick a center, so I went with AD. But so I do understand that, Darnell.
Yeah, so I had Durant in that 5th spot, and my 6th man was Antetokounmpo.
Ooh, Antetokounmpo. That's pretty solid.
That's solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I went with. I think you'd be an idiot to not take the guards. Westbrook, Harden. You'd have to make a real strong case to put Harden at your point guard to leave that shooting guard position open for somebody else. I think you'd really have to try and persuade me on that one. But so I like the 2 guards, and then we're all on the same page here. You know, LeBron and Kawhi. You know, just Kawhi defensively he's too good of a two-way player. You know, I think he really showed some brilliance offensively during the Rockets in the playoffs. And I think he really kind of validated himself as a top NBA player because as much TV time as the Spurs get, you know, those 10:30 starts, not a lot of people are watching them.
Yeah.
So I think Kawhi Leonard really put himself on display this year. And then the center, I struggled a little bit with. I went for someone who, provides the offense, some pretty good offense, but more importantly, a little bit of defense. I actually went with Rudy Gobert. I really liked him. I liked what he did this year. I understand he's probably not the first choice for a lot of people there, but for me, if I'm putting that roster together, he's a rim protector. He's selfless on the floor. He'll play the defense. And then for my sixth man, I actually went Draymond Green because he can give you the offense and the defense. He'd go out there, get you 20 rebounds and not score a point. He'd be perfectly cool with it. Just a guy who can come on, provide a little bit of everything for you, great passer. And I feel like he could really bring some attitude off the bench. I feel like you could also insert him into a starting lineup if you need to. So, I liked those guys this year.
Just anything to say about, you guys got anything else to say about, other person's picks or anything?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't think anybody had any bad choices in there or anything. Trey's, yours was chalk with what the actual first team was. So, no problems with it. AD he's good. No, he's ridiculous. Nobody can deny that. But I just feel like Durant, even missing the last few weeks with the knee issue, I just think he had a season, even on a team that stocked full of talent, where he stood out to me. And the Greek Freak, just the way that he upped his game this year, pretty much amazed me all year. So I just think he deserved that honorable mention, basically, for the six-man spot for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually really like that Antetokounmpo pick. He turned a lot of heads this year. He's kind of really headlining a young Bucks team. He kind of stepped up and took charge of that team in a lot of ways. He's also kind of pulling a little bit of a LeBron. Now don't misunderstand me. I'm not calling him LeBron, but he's going to be kind of that next line of players where we see some of the big men take control of the ball a lot more. He played a lot of point for them at 6'9" or whatever he is, 6'10", or just freakishly long. The Greek Freak's a perfect nickname for him. He did some stuff this year that I feel like nobody else in the NBA can do.
Yeah,
sure. At one point, he jumped from just past the free throw line and dunked the ball on the way down.
Yeah.
Who does that? But I think Antetokounmpo's just getting started, and he's real solid. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, it would probably take LeBron James being out of the NBA, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could have a year where he snatches that all NBA team.
Yeah, and he's only 22.
Yeah,
so he has plenty of game. Yeah.
Oh, tons of game, and he can do a lot. He was one of the guys racking up triple doubles this year.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he wasn't doing it at Russell Westbrook pace, but he had his fair share of triple doubles this year. So he was exciting, and he helped make the Bucks playoff team, and I think we'll continue to see them just get better in a not so great Eastern Conference, but I think they could really, really rise.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they can go anywhere but up.
Now, for you guys, six men, you guys said who your six men were.
Mm-hmm.
Were there other contenders that had you on edge that you were thinking about picking somebody else, or was your six man just pretty much just a unanimous decision? This is who it is.
I thought a little bit about maybe IT or Steph.
Okay.
They both had solid years as well. Thomas, he was Mr. Fourth Quarter for all the regular season. And I'm trying to look at this as just based on the regular season stuff. Though they were in there, but I just felt like just from the regular season, I thought Antetokounmpo amazing. And I mean, just because of how good forwards are in the NBA right now, for him to be, in year 3 of his career and putting up numbers close to a KD or a LeBron, I just thought he deserved that mention.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I took a little bit of a different approach like Trey. I kind of went with you, wanting to throw a center in there. For me, Gobert was just solid all year long. But that sixth man, I kind of take a different approach when it comes to a sixth man. Like, I understand when you're looking at like an all NBA, you could just throw in whoever has stats. Like, that's totally cool. Like, at that point, you're picking who you think are the 6 best players. But I love a sixth man to just have a mentality more than a stat line. I feel like the first guy you bring off the bench sets a tone for the second unit. And I don't know who else would be better at setting a tone than Draymond Green. So, But if other people were in the running for me, you'd look at some stat guys. You'd look at a KD or a Curry. Darnell mentioned him, Isaiah Thomas. You could also look like Antetokounmpo, which was Darnell's pick. You had a handful of guys to pick from there. But like I said, I just kind of went with a 6-man mentality more than I went with a stat line. So, and that was just my reasoning for the Draymond pick.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that, man. All right, guys. Anything else before we get into these finals?
Yeah, Trey, and we all know you just copied and pasted the All-NBA team. It's fine.
Oh, man.
We'll let it slide. Next year, you can pick LeVar Ball. Or Lonzo Ball. Yeah. And LeVar. Pick LeVar. He's better than MJ.
Yeah.
He's better than MJ.
All right, man.
His words, not mine.
Yeah. All right, y'all. It's about that time, man. I've got the finals coming up tomorrow. Just thoughts on this Cavs versus Golden State, part 3, matchup for the finals.
It better be good. Yeah. If it's not good, I'll just say that is 2016, 2017 in a nutshell. And I guess by good, I mean it has to go longer than 5. Games have to be close and competitive. Well, I guess close is a relative term here. I mean, a game can be, a 10-point game, but it takes them, the final minute to stretch that lead to 10. Yeah. I think we just need some competitive, tough-nosed basketball here because we have not gotten that at all. Yeah. And at this point, obviously I'm going to pick a winner. But at this point, I don't necessarily care who wins. I could, for all I care, they could take out one of the 2 teams, throw in the worst team in the league. They could win it, and I wouldn't care. I just want a series that we can talk about, something that gives us some substance, some good storylines. But I mean, yeah, I guess in terms of the 2 teams that we have, it's the rematch of the rematch. So, it's, they call it the rubber match, which is a baseball term, but obviously the best team in the East versus the best team in the West. I mean, I think we all saw this coming from a mile away. Yeah. Not surprised. I don't think anybody's surprised. I think we're just going to have the whole story of Kevin Durant. Was it the right decision or not? Obviously, if they win it, it was. If they lose, it wasn't. He came out and said that he believes it was 100% the right decision no matter what happens. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, hey, good for him. But, I think that it's going to have a little bit different of a feel because of Kevin Durant. It just gives Golden State that much more to work with, which is hard to believe coming off of a 73-win season. But we'll see what happens. I'm hoping for the best here.
Yeah. You have anything else to add to that, Darna?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what Ty said. This is we need this finals to be entertaining because of what we've had to make it through with Cleveland basically running through everybody, having one up against Boston because LeBron decided to take a game off, and Golden State.
It was his rest game.
yeah, and Golden State running through everybody, but also not having to play teams at full strength. No Kawhi basically against the Spurs, so we need something because we've only had maybe 1.5 decent series this whole playoffs. So we need something to uplift spirits.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. We could definitely get to see whether it's a good thing that the Cavs play in the East where they don't have to fight much, versus Golden State going through a technically tougher conference, but still getting to go against all these teams that have strength. So I'm excited for the rubber match just so we can get somebody back ahead in the series as well.
Yeah. All right, guys. Now, just looking at these two teams, this is the third time in a row they've been in the NBA Finals. Can you just see this being the matchup for the finals? With these two teams just being the NBA Finals matchup for the next years to come, kind of like the whole Boston, LA kind of thing going.
I mean, unless we get a couple more shifts where there's another team of power. I mean, the Spurs are just late. As of late, they've been, right there on the outside looking in, but maybe they need a piece like that CP3, like we're talking about, to kind of get them back right there on par with the other two teams. I'm not sure what to say about the East. Boston had a hell of a year, but they still looked like trash when they came up against Cleveland in the playoff setting. And the questions are already going around. Do they ship out Isaiah Thomas because he's not the player that's going to get them over that hump? They have the number one pick. Washington, I thought would have been a better matchup for Cleveland, but I don't think they're not built to beat them in any way. I'm not sure if there is a team in the East. I know I bring them up a lot just because they're how the team is built. I think Milwaukee may have something to say about it in the future, depending on how they keep building, just because they're that big athletic team and they have, the future LeBron possibly on their team and Antetokounmpo. But, as of right now, for the next at least year or two, I think we just get this volleyball back and forth between Cleveland and Golden State.
Yeah, I'm right there. And it's sad to say Boston's probably the closest thing we have to at least competing with Cleveland in the East. I mean, they took one, but like we all said, that was definitely an outlier game. LeBron wasn't there. On the stat sheet, he wasn't there, I should say. I think he only had 11 points. When's the last time he did that in the playoffs? And then Washington, I think, has the mentality to beat Cleveland, but they don't have the talent yet. It's going to take, some free agency coming together to form a team that already has a piece or two, and another super team is formed. That's what it's going to take to give more competition really to either of these teams. CP3 to San Antonio would, I think, be a very interesting matchup for Golden State. But yeah, I think all eyes are going to be on Boston, number one pick. Even if they keep the number one pick, they'll still have a lot of salary space to possibly make a move for Jimmy Butler. That'll be in the talks all summer. That talk's not going away. Or Gordon Hayward. Those two names you're going to hear all the time with Boston. So get used to it now. But yeah, I see Cleveland, Golden State for the next 2 or 3 years.
All right, guys. Now, Curry, he hasn't been stepping up in the last 2 finals, man. Will this be the time that he actually steps up in the finals?
I hope so.
I'm going to say no. Yeah, I'm going to say no. The reason I say no is because I feel like this is the most complete that Golden State's ever been. I'm not saying that he'll play poor, but I'm not saying he's going to step up and start pouring in 30 a game. But that's just because he doesn't have to. I don't think his stats will be crazy impressive, but I think they'll be very efficient. I think this is going to be the best finals he'll play, but it's not going to be, mind-blowing stats or, his best shooting performance in the world. I think he's just going to have a nice finals, and, Durant will do a lot of scoring. He'll get his share. Clay's going to be, probably all eyes on him because he's been, the worst of the starters so far coming in to the finals. He hasn't shot that well. I think he's shooting close to 30%, from 3. So, eyes will be on him a little bit, but, I'm not going to say that Curry necessarily steps up. He's not going to match LeBron numbers. But I think he can have himself a nice finals. Just the fact that I don't think he has to step up in any way. I think he can do what he's done, for the majority of the playoffs. Now, granted, that's better than he's ever done in the finals so far. So, I guess if you just look at it from that way, yeah, he'll step up. But I'm not expecting crazy stats out of him. I'm just expecting a solid performance. What we expect out of him.
I expect him to be good to great. Honestly, just because I feel like how the matchups work, this is the finals for him to blow up. He's not going to have to work much on the defensive end because I figure they'll put Clay on Kyrie, since he's a better off-ball defender. And he won't have to worry about LeBron shadowing him this year because they have Durant. So, this is kind of that finals where there's not a ton of pressure on him on either side of the ball to have to do something special. So this is the one where he should be able to let the game come to him and just do what he needs to do. And
I agree.
Just hit his open shots, get to the basket when he needs to, because, the matchups are in Golden State's favor here, especially for Steph. Like I was saying, he's not going to have a premier defender on him the whole time like last year where they put LeBron on him just to basically negate him for a lot of the games. And if he does come down with Kyrie on him, Kyrie doesn't care a lot about defense himself, so he should be able to get his points there, and he won't have to tire himself out by covering Kyrie when he has the ball.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, who are you guys' X factors for each team? We'll start with Golden State first.
I was just about to say I have a harder time picking one for Golden State. It sounds so cliche to pick someone, like a Draymond Green or Andre Iguodala, but I'm going to go with someone I've mentioned before, someone I think's having a really good year. He's no longer Shaq and a fool. He is JaVale McGee.
All right.
If he can play at the rim, which he has all of the ability in the world to do, if he can get some buckets at the rim, and if he can protect the rim, that's only beneficial for Golden State. I'm not expecting him to score, 10 points a game.
Yeah.
But if he can block 2 or 3 shots a game, that could be the difference.
All right. So I'll give you 2 X factors, and the second one is kind of a conglomerate. First, I say Clay, just because, as Tyler mentioned earlier, he's been pretty much awful. By his standards for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Been not able to hit open shots. still playing hard on D, but he's just not been there offensively for the team. If he can pick it back up and show any sort of consistency, that'll put a lot of pressure on Cleveland.
Yeah.
And the other, like I said, is a conglomerate. It's a mixture of KD, Draymond, and Iggy. And that's because those are the three people that will most likely be covering LeBron at any single time. So, I mean, that's 12 fouls, or no, 18 fouls, and, you know, a lot of minutes to give each of them breathers to be able to do what they need to do offensively. And I think that's going to give LeBron a lot of trouble because that's three very good defenders. Like, they all bring their own set of problems for him. You know, Iggy got himself a Finals MVP for the job that he did on him 2 years ago. Kevin Durant is 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan, so he's not just somebody you can just go around or shoot over. He brings his own set of problems, and you know, Draymond is a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, so that's quite a task for LeBron to have to go through, and
do you think
probably tire him out.
Do you think game one we see Durant start on LeBron, or do we see Draymond start on LeBron? Because I feel like who of those two, whichever doesn't guard LeBron, will probably guard Kevin Love.
Yeah. I would, if I had to guess, it would probably be Draymond starting out on him because
I would agree.
Because I think Golden State can get out ahead with, especially if they play both ways on that and have Kevin Love on KD at points, because I think Love gets cooked there like something fierce. So I think they would try to go that way and see if they can force that matchup for themselves on offense. But I think they're fine either way, those two switching off and on between the two, because you know, I think either of them can give both Love and James some issues. I mean, of course, nobody's going to stop LeBron. That's not a thing. But I mean, if you can make him work, so by the fourth quarter he's on some tired legs, I think they're the perfect combination of players to do that.
Yeah, you know, and I think whoever's guarding Kevin Love's also going to have their hands full too. I mean, there were multiple times in the Eastern Conference Finals where we were seeing Kevin Love get in there and get those offensive boards like he was in Minnesota. So, you know, I think either way, both guys will have their hands full no matter who they're guarding. But I mean, obviously LeBron is 1A and 1B to guard. It'll be interesting to see how that matchup takes place. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, it turns into something where, you know, they're not constantly putting the same guy on it. You might see some every other defensive series, you get a different guy on it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to mix it up as much as they can and try to force LeBron into some different things so he can't get into a rhythm. But I also wouldn't be surprised, once again, if we just see one of them on him and they kind of play it a little more normal. I think that'll be dictated by how LeBron answers game one. If he gets into, you know, a good rhythm, I think they'll try and mix it up. If he's not in rhythm, they'll stick with whatever's working. So I think that'll be more dependent on LeBron than on whatever game plan they have.
All right, guys. Now, who are your X factors for the Cavs? I'll just say mine. For me, I believe it would be D. Will. Believe LeBron, Tristan, and Kyrie, they'll step up. Kevin Love could do his thing too, but I think for the Cavs to really be successful, I think they would need somebody to help ignite the bench up. And Darren Williams, he was once arguably considered at some point be the best point guard in the league. So I think with him, he'd go out there. He needs to show some of his flashes of his old self and get these guys started up off the bench to have this bench keep the Cavs up into the game. So,
you want to go second this time, Darnell?
Sure. My X factor for Cleveland, I'm looking at two starters still, but Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. Thompson, he's elevated his gameplay, but I think he's going to be needed to, be a presence, keep Golden State honest. So, like, maybe try to make it so they have to shadow the paint a little bit to give some breather to their shooters, because Cleveland, people don't realize it for some reason, but they shoot a lot of threes just like Golden State, and this season they shot and made at a higher clip. I mean, give that to them playing in the East, so it might have been a little easier for them, but that's the type of team that they are. But I think Tristan Thompson and will have to step up for a lot of that. And Kevin Love, he's another one of those guys that just doesn't seem to. He seems to stuff stat sheets, except for in games where he has another all-star caliber player across for him. So I think he's going to have to step up as well.
Yeah. For me, I'm going with a guy coming off the bench again. Well, granted, I'm not saying again because JaVale McGee could very possibly start for Golden State. But I'm going with the bench player here. I'm going to go Kyle Korver. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to need to make some 3-pointers. He's going to have to score while either Kyrie or Kevin Love are off the floor. I expect LeBron to play as close to 48 minutes as he can get. So he's going to have to be a scoring presence off the bench because Golden State brings in their bench and they continue to score. So Cleveland's going to have to match that. Korver's going to have to be very key in that. He's one of their better 3-point shooters. He's going to have to make threes. So yeah, I feel like if Cleveland falls behind, they're going to get a 3-point lineup on the floor. Korver will be on the floor. So I think Korver could play a very big part in what Cleveland decides to do here. I mean, I would, agree with you for everything you said, Tristan Thompson for, but I think we expect him to do that. That's kind of why I'm not picking him toward my X factor. I expect him to protect the rim. The only way I would, basically the only way I'd pick him is if we don't need him to do it, but it would only, Cleveland doesn't need Kyle Korver to make a bunch of threes because their starting lineup can do that. But if he comes in and just makes those threes, I feel like that only helps Cleveland that much more. He's going to be big for their second unit. Kyrie's going to have to get a rest. Kevin Love will get a rest. LeBron's the only player on that roster I don't see getting a rest at all. And if it's LeBron and the second unit, Korver's going to have to step up there. And, your pick D Will, he'll have to step up too. So, and to be fair at this point, just to what the NBA Finals is, everybody's kind of an X factor at this point. Everybody's got to do something.
Yeah, every
and if
play
you're
counts.
not, if you're not doing something at this point, how in the world are you on the team you're on?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of hard to, just pick one or two, but, I think just every play at this point, has to be worth something. Good or bad, it's worth something.
Yeah.
Spotlights on everybody.
Yeah.
You're remembered for the good plays. You're also remembered for the bad ones.
All right, guys. Anything else to add for the X Factors? All right.
I hope JaVale McGee doesn't come back to bite me in the butt.
All right. We'll see, man. All right, it's time for us to get to it, guys. Who do you have winning and how many games? Just like I said, we talked about it before. Y'all guys, Stephen A., he did pick Golden State. So if y'all want to go against the curse, feel free. But who do you guys got? I'll start off. Actually. I'm going to actually go with Cleveland in this one. the Cavaliers. On paper, I do believe that Golden State is the better team. Would not be shocked if these guys go in there and handle business and get it out the way quick. But everybody, man, you've been looking at some of the stories leading up to this. They talking about where does LeBron James rank? Is he better than MJ? LeBron can't be in the MJ conversation if this guy's going to lose and be 3-5 in the finals. So, it's got to be that talented, man. I cannot see him being 3-5 in the NBA finals. So, I think he's going to put together a performance like he did last year and keep these guys in there, just straight up hustle, make every play count like we were just talking about. I think he's going to help lead his team to another championship. So I got them in 7 games.
Yeah, I went with Cleveland last year. Was the bold pick. I said that was my one for the year last year. I have a hard time with this one because I have disliked Golden State all year due to the bandwagon factor. I disliked them last year due to the bandwagon factor. I still dislike them due to the bandwagon factor. I don't deny that they're great. I don't deny that they're one of the better teams the NBA's ever seen over a 3-year stretch. I don't deny individual talent on the team. It's not that I don't think they're a good team. I just don't enjoy bandwagons at all. So, I'm actually going to kind of break my mantra here. I'm going to pick Golden State. I'm going to pick Golden State in 6. I just feel like they're deeper, more consistent the further into the roster you get. I think they're better defensively. The only area that's going to raise question, and it raises question with everybody's, rim protection. If they protect the rim, I don't see them having too much issue. If they can slow LeBron down, I don't see them having too much issue. They score at a high enough clip. They play good enough defense. I've talked about this a lot this postseason. They hustle. They're probably one of the hardest hustling teams I've ever seen. Especially probably since the 90s. They gel. They're super talented. I think Durant will get his ring. Golden State in 6.
Right. How you feeling, Nizo?
Well, me and Ty are thinking the same there as far as our call there. I got Warriors in 6. Wouldn't be shocked if it's 5. I'm going 6 just because I respect LeBron that much that, he's going to do all he can to steal as many games as possible. But I just, looking at these teams on paper, watching their regular seasons, watching the playoffs and everything, I just feel like the Cavs are great. They're a really good team. And, LeBron's the best player on the planet still, as far as I'm concerned. But Golden State just has too much firepower. They're too efficient, and you have to stop more than one person to beat them. If you can somewhat contain LeBron, I don't think Kyrie and Kevin Love are enough. If you can stop KD, you got to worry about Clay and Steph. You can stop Steph, you got to worry about KD and Clay. Draymond's there. He's been shooting 50% from 3 for the playoffs. Stepped up as far as that goes, and Golden State they're an elite defensive team to go along with how elite they are offensively.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just trying to look at this and just be realistic about it. I mean, crazy things happen in the playoffs. I mean, I feel like Golden State probably should have won last year.
Yeah.
I felt like they had more talent, but stuff happens. You had the whole Draymond suspension deal, I still put it on Golden State. They lost 2 games after that they had a chance to put it away. So I mean, crazier things have happened, but I just have to look at it and go with what my eyes tell me, and my eyes tell me that Golden State is a superior team. So I'm going to say Golden State in 6, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if it's a gentleman's sweep and Golden State wins in 5.
All right.
Yeah, and real quick, if I can add it in there, Trey, just to your point, the whole MJ LeBron thing. I said this a few days ago to my brother. I'm just done having that conversation. Like, legit, I am done trying to compare the two. One, it's a tiring conversation that neither side's going to win.
Yeah.
If you believe one way or the other, there's no way you're persuading yourself otherwise.
Yeah.
And then second of all, I think they're two different players playing in two different eras who have dominated the game in two different ways.
Yeah.
I'm just done. I'm tired of hearing people say, well, LeBron, is losing in the finals. He has a losing finals record. It's like, okay, I don't give him an excuse against Dallas, but like, if he loses this time to this Golden State team, I mean, on a break, why is it all his fault? Why does every little thing have to be, that makes LeBron not great?
Yeah.
It's like,
if anybody wants to give him gruff about losing to this Warriors team with, 4 All-Stars, 2 definite future Hall of Famers, just go jump off a cliff if you want to. Throw shade on him for that one.
And to be fair, he should have lost last year's.
Yeah.
Like, should have. I mean, he didn't, and he comes back from a 3-1 deficit against the one team that is the best NBA regular season record of all time, and it's like we hold it against him for some reason.
Yeah.
We find every little nuance to nitpick at LeBron to say Michael Jordan's better.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm just done having that conversation because I'm coming to the realization we may never see a LeBron again. This might be the one we get in our lifetime, Trey.
Yeah.
It could be the one, and I don't want to sit here all day saying, well, is he as good as Michael Jordan? Instead of just watching him and appreciating it. True. If we can appreciate the great players, I don't care who you're better than, who you're worse than. That won't matter to me because you might get 1 or 2 in your lifetime.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that statement, man. Yeah.
Who cares who the great's gonna be in 80 years when I'm gone?
Yeah.
Who cares? But like, no one looks like they're gonna be the next LeBron for a long time. Like, I don't even think there's anybody in line that would be compared to LeBron right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no one's getting the hype he got. So, I'm just gonna enjoy LeBron while we have him. I'm not going to compare him to MJ. It's pointless. I'm just going to enjoy what we have. Be thankful for it.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm so tired of hearing everybody compare this, and it's like, why can't we just be thankful that we have LeBron? And if you got the opportunity to see both, why not just be thankful you got to see both?
Yeah.
Ty has some stuff to get off his chest there.
Yeah. A little bit. A little bit.
That was deep, man.
I'll be, but the thing is I will be upset if LeBron goes out, averages 30, 10, and 6. He loses, then we all say, well, LeBron's not MJ. It's like, is that really what you're taking away from this finals? Is that he's not Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that's just going to be people that already don't like him and just want to find a reason to hate him.
Yeah, haters are going to hate, and I get that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just done hating great players for being great. I'm done.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I agree, man. Especially like with LeBron, this is a guy, like I said, a great player, but he's been great off the court as well. Some of his charitable work, just a nice guy. Just done great things for Cleveland and whatnot. It's one thing if he's a rival of a certain team or you're pissed that he left Miami or whatever, but the hate the human being LeBron, that would be too much, man. The dude's a good guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right, guys. Now we had our winners. In how many games? Who do you think is going to be the MVP? For me, I picked Cleveland, so I'm going to go with LeBron. He has to play well in order for Cleveland to win. But for Golden State, for you guys, who do you think will get the MVP for Golden State?
KD.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is part of his, he gets to throw it in everybody's face if he wins that title. I think he's going to play well, and he's the one that has the most to prove in this finals. In my opinion, he had to take a lot of flack for leaving OKC and going to quote the enemy or whatever. How people looked at it since Golden State put OKC out last year. So he has to show that he made the right decision. He's one step away. He's made it to the finals. So he needs to step up, play. Once he gets that fourth victory, I do think he's going to play well and have some good numbers put up, and I think he'll come through and win the finals MVP as well.
All right.
Yeah, the one thing we need to remember too is this is not Durant's first finals. A lot of people I think are forgetting that. Mm-hmm. He's been here before. He knows how big the stage is, and I think he'll be way more relaxed. The game won't be on his shoulders. He has a team around him. I think he'll play well too. And to add to Darnell's point, with his high efficiency numbers all year, I expect him to, really ease into the game. I think he'll find a stride. I think it'll be interesting to see how Cleveland matches up defensively. I kind of expect LeBron to be on Kevin Durant, which I think could possibly pose some issues, which also kind of makes me kind of want to pick Steph Curry here. Learned that after Andre Iguodala won it, anybody can win it. Yeah. A part of me also wants to pick LeBron, even though I'm picking Golden State. But then I realized 2 years ago when Golden State won the finals and LeBron didn't win MVP, that I don't think anybody from the losing team's going to win MVP again for a long time.
Yeah.
So, but if someone's going to do it, it's going to be LeBron. I wouldn't mind seeing LeBron average, 40 a game again and win the MVP on the losing side. I think he should have won it 2 years ago. But I guess that's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm right in line with, KD. I think he can do it. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I think Golden State's ball movement's too good. He'll get open. They'll run a lot of screens up top, get LeBron off him, open him up for some shots. I think he's also good enough off the dribble to get into the lane, get to the rim. And I also think he's, smart enough to pull up, avoid Tristan Thompson. I also think they could pull Tristan Thompson away from the basket. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Won't be surprised if Kevin Durant wins it. Also wouldn't be surprised if Steph Curry wins it. So those would be my 1 and 2, I guess.
Yep. All right, guys. Do you have anything else to add before we close this up? Whether NBA, UFC, or whatever.
I guess just real fast. And I guess this could just be a real quick but a quick question for you guys. Does not having Steve Kerr play a big role?
I don't think so, man. These guys have been clicking well with him. This isn't the first time they had the season that they had to deal with. He was having issues with his back last year. So with those guys, man, all you got to do is move on the floor. Don't even really got to move on the floor, man, because those guys, all they need is a little bit of space. And a shot could go in with Clay, Curry, and Durant. So I think they're feeling confident right now. Hopefully not to the point they were cocky like they were last year, but they need to know what they need to do. They should already know what they need to do. So it's it'll be good to see Kerr out there, but, like I said, they know what they need to do to win this, so.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Darnell?
I mean, it makes, like, there's some points of the game where I think they might wish they'd had them, like drawn up plays for situational times. But as far as just the free flow of the game, I think that team played with each other long enough where they know what they need to do and get out there. And Mike Brown might actually be a help to them on the defensive end since he's more of a defensive-minded coach. So, yeah.
Like I said, it's third finals in a row for these guys. So these two teams know each other pretty well. So, yeah. How you feeling about it, man?
Yeah, I think, they've been fine without him for this long. They'll be fine without him for just a little bit more. And it's not like he's totally away from the team. He's just not on the bench. So, I mean, he's there. He's still giving his input. He's, still coaching these guys. He's just doing it from afar. Like Darnell said, maybe some set pieces, maybe some special things offensively. But then, like you said, Trey, they know each other. They're clicking. It's not exactly an excuse.
Yeah.
They've done so well without him on the bench that if you start pointing the finger to, well, Steve Kerr's not here, it's kind of like, well, that's a terrible point that you're trying to make. So, I don't think it'll be too big of a factor. If it is a factor, I'll kind of be surprised that people are even bringing it up.
Yeah.
Because even when they struggled earlier in the season, they had Steve Kerr. So, I don't think it'll be too big of a story.
All right, guys. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right.
I just felt like we needed to throw that in there real fast.
Yeah. All right, guys. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in to the show. You can check this podcast out on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. Just hit us up in that search engine. Also, you can hit us up on Twitter. Feel free to. You can follow us at DKM_cast. As always, like I said, guys, appreciate y'all for checking us out. Just hopefully these finals will be worth watching because these playoffs been sucking. So time will tell for that. Yeah. But other than that, y'all, peace out.